What's up, my fellow last placers? What's up, guys? So Chris and I decided that we're going to do a special video for you guys where we just talk about TV shows and movies because that was something that you guys actually liked when we did it on stream. So we today are going to talk about Captain. Well, this is a spoiler, by the way. This is a spoiler video, so we're gonna keep this in, but this is a spoiler video. So we're gonna talk about Falcon and the Winter Soldier. We're gonna talk about Demon Slayer, and we're gonna talk about Mortal Kombat. So we're gonna give you guys a 3-in-1 special, pretty much. So yeah, let's talk about them. So first order of business, let's do Captain Falcon and the Winter Soldier. AKA Captain America and the Winter Soldier. So if you guys haven't watched it yet, pretty much that is what happens. Chris, what did you think about the show in general?
I loved it. In the beginning, the first episode, we just came off of WandaVision, and WandaVision itself was a whole nother, I'm wearing the shirt. So WandaVision itself was a whole nother mood that whenever I started Falcon and Winter Soldier, I was like, this feels really weird. Like I couldn't get into it almost. And I was like, all right, so I ended up watching the first episode twice because I just had to get out of that mindset. Series as a whole, man, it was great. The action scenes was exactly what I wanted and what I needed. I didn't know that Zemo was going to become like a favorite character. That guy is
great
dope.
Character.
Oh, he's so good, so good.
Yeah.
Even his butler, like at the end, like his butler had me crying laughing when for the scene at the end. But yeah, man, I loved it. I loved what they did with bringing in the Wakandans. Also, I kind of wish we went there, to be honest. Like have like a little moment there. I thought that's where it was gonna go.
Well, they're gonna have their own TV show, so.
Oh, are they really?
That is confirmed. Yeah, they're gonna have their own. Besides the movie, they're gonna have the movie, and Ryan Coogler actually is signed on to executive produce a TV show. So, for those who didn't know,
yeah, but they did a great job, man. When they showed up, and that music at the end had me hyped. I was ready, ready to go. Sucks that it was only 6 episodes. I was a little bit worried about that, but they told everything they needed to tell within those 6 episodes. So, what were your thoughts on it?
I mean, pretty much the same. The thing is, I agree with it took a little bit of adjustment period when you started like the first episode, because we went from this world that was so magical and like this crazy, unique, isolated situation. And especially from the tone of the first couple of episodes of WandaVision, where it's very sitcom-y, it was very funny, very, it was very like welcoming is the best way to say it. And then, Falcon and Winter Soldier was very like, all right, we're getting straight to the point and we're hitting these hard notes quickly. So it was kind of like, oh, snap. And then, the end of the first episode, you had Sam giving up the shield and then someone else becoming Captain America. And everyone was like, the internet was in shambles because you're just like, yo, what is going on here? Like, how is this happening? But again, Sam had to go through a struggle. And think about it. Sam also as a character had so much to go through and there was a reason why he gave up the shield, and there's a reason why there's so much pressure. And Buck being great was also just a greatly developed character and probably one of the best developed characters in the Marvel universe because of what he's gone through, and especially this show tackling like his his PSD and things of that nature. So like it was really cool to see Buck be that kind of mentor to Sam, also kind of like what Steve was, but also Sam helping Bucky become counseling him and giving him the therapy, and something that was what we knew Sam from the beginning. Like, you remember when Cap walks into that meeting and that's how he actually meets Sam besides the running. So like them giving Sam all this like character and making him such a very good like stand-up guy, and like he had difficult decisions to make, because if you remember, even with the Flag Smashers, he kind of was like, you know what, they're not 100% wrong here, because in a sense where like we're looking at it like these people did have a life within that 5 years, like, you know what I mean, that literally got taken away from them, and everyone got pushed out, and that's a side of the story we didn't hear from. So them bringing that to light, and the way that they constantly bring up the blip and how things affected it, especially in these TV shows, have been super dope. Like in WandaVision, when Rambo's coming back, and like, you know, the hospital's in shambles and
That
stuff
was a
like that.
fantastic scene.
Yeah,
Like, because we always saw, what was it? Spider-Man was the first time we saw it.
yeah.
And they did like a comedic version of like people showing up in
Mhm.
class. But that hospital scene was specifically like, this is panic. Like, everybody's
Yeah.
panicking because they're like, they don't know what's going on.
Exactly. So like them tackling that, and I feel like it's always a good way. What they did was just great. Was just like, hey, people did live here, and people did live in these houses because the world was split in half, essentially. So they did a really good job at telling that narrative. Zemo was fantastic. I mean, to get an hour cut dancing of him also just like was perfect. Zemo, I felt, was always an underrated character in Civil War because so much was going on in Civil War that you kind of don't get the sense of
That he's part
his
of like
ex.
the
Yeah,
underground, like everything. Like, whenever they go into the city and people know him, you're like, bro,
yeah,
he's done quite a bit
yeah.
before we
And he's
saw
a
him.
big, yeah, he's a big character that, you know, you can, you know, he there's a dude that does a lot of things, so he is like a mastermind. And the fact that he really pinned the Avengers together, like to fight against each other, that was all his doing. Like, you know what I mean? All the way back to all the way to the end when Iron Man and Cap fight each other, like that was all Zemo. And I
Yeah.
think this show gave him more of that validation of him being a great villain. And just him, I mean, even him in the Rift, like, was great. Like that last scene where it's just like, you know, they blow up the rest of the super soldiers, where he had an agenda, and that was his agenda, and he took care of it, you know. And I mean, the Dora Milaje, obviously, I mean, Wakanda, anytime we
Beautiful.
get to see anything from Wakanda is perfect. I think that tipping point, like thing, it was also the tipping point for a US agent, why am I forgetting his name, Walker. Like that was his tipping point, was like after he gets, you know, his ass kicked by them, and he's like, they're not even super soldiers. So just the whole story in general was so good. It was a very captivating story. Everything, even when we go from Isaiah, like just his story also being like, you know, the actually the like one of the first Captain Americas also, and not getting that credit that he deserved. And then the end with the tear jerking
Bro, I
moment
even
where
thinking
he
about
gets
it,
the
I'm
museum.
like trying to
Yeah,
hold it back. I was like,
where
oh,
he gets
dude.
that museum, but like also he was something that like he went with Sam, like he was trying to tell Sam, this is what I went through, and like having some of these issues still today, and Sam still going like, you know what, I can still fight for this country, like, and I could still show what I want Captain America to be. And I think it was a big step for Sam's character, and we are going to see Isaiah later on, because I believe they're going to do a Young Avengers story. And if you haven't read the Young Avengers, his grandson is actually Patriot. So you
Ah.
heard it here first, and that now gives us, I think, 5 of the kids already, because Speed and Wiccan are also in
Oh
the
yeah,
Young
true.
Avengers,
Yep.
and then you have Patriot, and then you have
Well, how would they
Katie.
wait, hold on. How would they show up if they in the end of WandaVision they go away,
Well,
right?
we're gonna see them again in Doctor Strange. I can
Gotcha.
guarantee it.
All right.
Yeah. So because if you remember the end of WandaVision, she hears them,
Yeah.
and then yeah, so I definitely think we're going to see those guys again. And then we also have the Hawkeye show, which is Kate Bishop. She's also part of the Young Avengers. We already saw Cassie, which is Scott Lang's daughter. She's Stature, so that's already like 5 characters. So
Yeah. And
that
then
from the Young Avengers.
I also felt throughout this show, I felt a lot more for Bucky going
Yeah,
through. It did start off as me and my wife sitting there, and with the haircut and stuff, like I was already judging him. I was like, man, I don't like the haircut. Like, and we go through, and then we're like watching it, and then Bree goes, you know what? Like, he's a good looking guy. I was like, yeah, he is a good looking dude. I was like, I do
yeah.
like the haircut. But
I
like
mean, yeah,
watching his
he's a
story and
kid.
like the whole therapy scene when he finally like releases like, you gave up the shit, like this was my friend's thing that he
Yeah.
gave to you and you gave it up. Like you can see the hurt.
Hmm.
Um I like leveled with him so much, man. His
Yeah.
flashbacks of when he's trying to do the right thing and he's trying to tell the old man that, you know, hey man, I'm the one who killed your son. I'm so
Yeah.
sorry. and all this other stuff, and like feeling it, like you felt the tension and all that stuff. That show did a really good job of doing that. And one that hit really hard was whenever they leave Isaiah's house for the first time and the police pull up. And since that's so fresh in everybody's mind, because that's what's happening, like, you know, it's been happening every day, but it's so, you see videos more and more every day, that moment like had me like my heart racing a little bit. I felt uncomfortable, and I was like, oh shoot, dude, like so
it did a great job at showing that struggle though, right? So like it did very good at it. That show was just so good at making everything feel realistic. That's why when you go from WandaVision to this show, it is a different tone, like completely, and it should be. Like, again, we're dealing with an isolated situation with Wanda and magic and all that stuff, but this is the ground level of Marvel where we are dealing with human like interactions.
They make it very relatable to the point where it feels like, dude, this is like, it feels like they're actually just filming this live, like next door, like
that, and just like he not being able to get a loan for his sister and stuff like that. They made you feel very grounded, and that's what that show is designed to do. Like you're not supposed to feel out of this world, and that's, like I said, one of the best things about Marvel is that you have so many different outlets, right? So you have like your magic, and people are gonna love that, and that's fine. You also have your real world grounded stuff, which is going to be like shows like this and Hawkeye, where it's very like realistic, you know what I mean? And then you have Loki, where it's just going to be completely out of this world, like, you know what I mean?
Loki's gonna be something.
Exactly. And Thor, like, you know what I mean? So it's doing exactly what it did in the comic book world, which is what I love, because now everything just feels like, if I don't want to watch this, I don't want to watch this, which I advise everyone to watch everything, because it's all going to connect like it's always has been. But like, this is that thing where like I can watch this, or I can just watch the review or a preview of this, you know what I mean, or whatever the case may be. But that show was really good. And what you to your point with Bucky, him going, that was like a part of him. Like the shield is a part of him, because that's like his last memory of Steve, like, you know what I mean, and that's his best friend. And knowing what they fought for and how they fought in Winter Soldier, and Steve just always sticking by him, he never wants to lose that piece of Steve. And it kind of blinded him to when him and Sam had that conversation when he was training, to be like, I never knew what it would be like to give you the, you know, to give you the shield, like when that was their plan. So it was really good how they tackled all that stuff. The guest appearances, like I said, were fantastic. And that show, like I said, 10 out of 10 for me.
10 out of 10,
I you know, I loved it. I loved every second of it. They've been hitting home runs with all the Disney Plus shows, in my opinion. So I've enjoyed everything.
Go watch it, please, man, because you don't want to be that guy. Whenever the next big Marvel movie comes out and they all show up on screen again, you don't want to be that guy in the audience when everybody's just like, "Oh my God, this is happening!" And you're like, "What's going on? What do you mean?"
You don't want Captain America 4 to come out and be like, "How did Sam become Captain America?"
What's going on here? Yeah, don't
be that person.
If I hear it in the theater, what's happening? Sir, leave. Get up, please. Yeah. I will refund your ticket yourself.
Feige has warned everybody.
Yeah, he did.
All right, so let's get on to Mortal Kombat. We're going to talk about Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat came out, 2 weeks ago at this point, or a week ago? I'm not sure. It feels like it's been forever, but I think it's actually, fun fact, I saw this movie in the movie theater, so I didn't see it at home, which it kind of, I don't want to say it skewed my opinion, because I still have the same opinion on this movie, but I definitely enjoyed the movie a lot more at the theater than I did than I think I would have at home. Being that if you guys know me, I am a huge movie person. I love to be inside of a movie theater. I watched this in Dolby, and like just being back at the movies was such a great feeling that I was so happy. But this movie, let me tell you, I had major issues with this movie, because here's my thing. The movie's super cheesy, right? And when it comes to Mortal Kombat, you kind of expect that.
That's what you,
Here's my issue, though. You cannot give us the first 10 minutes of that movie with Scorpion and then give us the movie that we got after that thing takes place. Because the movie itself takes such a serious stance, right? That like in the first 10 minutes, you're like, oh my God, like this is the movie I want. They're doing a real life setting. And then we go to, once we start the next story, we're kind of like, bro, who changed directors? My brother pointed this out perfectly. He was like, the first 10 minutes of that movie feels like it was directed, produced, even scenes to where the cutting, the editing feels completely different than the rest of the movie. And
to
he's
be honest,
100
it felt like it was gonna be like a samurai movie, like that.
exactly.
The shot for shot thing. I was just like, this is a whole nother. And as soon as it cuts, you're like in a different mode. You're like,
Yeah. You're like, wait, what happened here? So like, I don't know how that happened or how we got to that point. If you're going to, and this is one of my things also, if you're going to have these characters say lines from the video game, okay, that is not a real world setting. Just do the tournament, because then you can have Shang Tsung do those. The fact that Kung Lao says flawless victory after he kills someone is not cool. It's cheesy. It's boring. Like, it just doesn't make sense. You already set us up for this serious movie in the first 10 minutes, and then you've got characters saying their names.
It took me completely. As soon as the fight was going on, I'm like, oh, this is dope. And then it'd get to the end fight, and they would say, I forgot who said fatality though, but I think the first person that says something is Jax, right?
Yes, yeah. I think Jax said something.
I forgot what he said.
I don't
like
remember.
As soon as he finishes and he says that, I'm like, oh no.
Yeah.
Like,
you can't go to that type of cheese after we've set up the first 10 minutes of the movie.
No,
it just doesn't make sense. If you want to add those lines, you have to make it a tournament so that someone else can produce those lines. I don't think you can go from 10 minutes of serious and then just start with the cheese. The fact that Sub-Zero said his name, very off-putting for me. Even Scorpion, even though he said it in Japanese and it sounded cool, off-putting. Like, I don't want these characters introducing themselves like that. Like, it just doesn't feel right. It never felt right.
Even the get over here part.
Yeah, get over here, I'm okay with.
I was okay with it, but like, I don't know. In that moment, I was like, they could have held on to it a little bit longer, like just a little.
No,
it just felt awkward to me.
Yeah,
because
for me, go ahead.
It was just like I said, it just felt like, I don't know, man. I enjoyed the movie. I had a lot of fun with the movie. And I knew going in it was going to be cheesy. For a lot of people, if you're not a fan of Mortal Kombat and you haven't seen the originals or anything like that, you're going to look at like, for you guys, it's a Redbox movie. For the people that have played the games and stuff like that, going in, go watch it in the theater. But for me, I was I watched it on HBO. I was like, you know what, this is not the one that's going to bring me back to the theater. I wanted my first movie back, like, to be big. But yeah, man, it was something. Like, it felt like the best way to explain it for me was after the beginning part. It felt like we were heading towards like Power Ranger level stuff. Like, I was waiting for like the star explosion and them going like, like off screen. Like, it was there. It was almost there. I was like, man, this is weird. But the fighting scenes were so good, which is what we want. We wanted a good fighting scene. But also whenever they all separated and stuff like that, and they made it like arena style, like the game, like it's a side scroller. Here's your level. I was expecting somebody to like get punched through a wall into another room and then have that setting again or something like that. But what were you gonna say?
Yeah, the thing is also, I mean, I also have to say this though. That was a movie that was only made for $50 million. So
that is true.
But the funny thing about that is usually when you have these lower budget movies, the things that suffer are the effects. I thought the effects were amazing, actually, like for the price that they paid. I thought everything looked good. I thought it looked clean. I thought, Kano was absolutely perfection in this movie. If there is a saving grace and a character they need to bring back, it is Kano, because he was absolutely fabulous in this movie. But yeah, you usually expect the effects to take a hit, and it didn't. But for some reason, the story took the brunt of the damage. And then, like, something I didn't like was when Sub-Zero, right, when they fight in the movie in the beginning of the 10 minutes, him and Scorpion, Sub-Zero just kills his family, right, with no remorse, no nothing. Then we fast forward to the future, and now all of a sudden Sub-Zero has remorse and doesn't kill what's his name's kids and his wife. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, he killed, so like he wants to get
I forgot that dude's name. I'm not gonna lie.
It's gonna come back to me. I know it's gonna come back to me, but that's why I skipped over it. But they killed his family. Like, they didn't kill his family, and it's like, that's not what Sub-Zero would have done. Like, he literally showed you that he wants to rid that bloodline. Why would he not kill the rest of the bloodline? Like, it just doesn't make any sense when you're moving forward. Like, he wouldn't use that as bait. Like, you know what I mean? So Scorpion coming in, I thought was dope. The way he came in was dope. Everything about Scorpion was dope. I like I said, I didn't mind the get over here because like that would be his first dialogue because of the history that they had, and it's like, you know what, you need to get over here. Like, you know what I mean? I if anything, I understood that the most. It's like, get away for, like, you know, get, not even get away from my family. It's more like, like, I want to fight you because you need to remember
Yeah.
this faith, which is what he said, right? So like,
Yeah.
so him being
Which was the
saying
most
that to me,
badass part at the end.
yeah,
Or in the beginning, like whenever he kills him and he's about to die, he's like, "Remember this face," and I was like,
yeah,
"Oh yeah," I like
and
you feel it.
exactly. So, like I said earlier, I think this movie, you should do it in the mortal, like in the combat, the tournament setting, just so you can have better fight scenes. Also, because I wasn't the biggest fan of the Raiden temple fight scene because I felt like it was a little scattered
Yeah.
and a little bit all over the place. But if you did the tournament, or you just do a Scorpions movie, and I don't know if people have watched Scorpions Revenge. If you haven't, go look for it. It is amazing. But they could have done something based like that, and that is the vibe that you get from the first 10 minutes of this movie. And I feel like that's something that would have been way more enjoyable than what a lot of people got. Like, not saying that I didn't enjoy the movie, because I still had fun with it. I still enjoyed, like, you know what I mean, some of the scenes and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
I didn't hate it at
But
all. I loved
yeah,
it.
I didn't hate it.
I had a lot of fun.
I'd go back and watch the fight scenes again. But like, again, if you want to prevent the cheese, if you're gonna set your us up for what feels like a real time movie, like a real serious movie in the first 10 minutes, you can't give us what you gave us in the second half of that movie. So
What was your favorite clip?
I'll be honest, I really did like when Kung Lao came in and teleported.
I was
Like,
just
his
about to say
teleport
that.
in was so dope.
I paused there and rewound just to
Yeah.
watch it. I was like, hold on, because it was it was
that
clean.
Was dope.
Yeah.
That was dope. But yeah, it is what it is. If you guys can watch it on HBO Max, you still have like another 2 weeks before they take it off of HBO Max. So that's how those movies are working. If you guys don't know, for this year, they're going to come out with the movie and the app versions simultaneously, and then you have 30 days to watch it before they put it back to the movie theaters. So, but overall, I mean, I'd give it probably like a 4.5 or 5-ish, like average.
Out of 10?
That was my kind of thing. Yeah, I'd say it was around there.
4.5. Okay.
Like 5 is average.
Yeah, I'll get a 5.
You know what I mean?
I'll get a 5. I'll get a 5.
Yeah.
I had a lot more fun. I didn't hate it as much as can't think of another movie, but there's a movie out there that I was just not happy with. But this one I was actually like, I laughed, and the fighting scenes I like had me going like, what? Like, you know, there's some things that caught me off guard. I was just like, this is cool.
Yeah. All right, so let's go to our last movie, which I saved this last for a reason, because I feel like this was the best out of the bunch, and this is fresh. So we're gonna talk about Demon Slayer, the movie. Oh. Listen, people. First off, let me start this off by going. If you haven't watched Demon Slayer, please go watch Demon Slayer. I told Chris go watch Demon Slayer, and he's right. Listen, I'm not gonna be here and gatekeep on anime. All right, enjoy anime however you want.
I'm here to level. I'm here to level with you guys on that part in a second.
Yes,
but go ahead.
I'm not here to gatekeep. All I'm saying is my experience. Every time I watch anime, I've been watching it for a long time now, I just feel more expression from the Japanese actors than I do the English actors. And I feel like only Dragon Ball Z is kind of one of those things that trended that line. But for me, even then, I just feel the emotion that Japanese voice actors bring to their shows. And Demon Slayer is definitely one of those shows. So go watch that. This movie, to me, Chris, I mean, I remember I watched it also in the movie theaters last Wednesday, and I immediately text Chris. I was like, listen, I know if you haven't watched Demon Slayer, go watch this, because I need to talk about this movie.
I binged it for you guys at home. I binged it, to tell you how good it was. I binged it in 2 days, right? I literally watched it, and I was just like, this is so good, and I kept going. First episode, I switched back and forth between subbed and dubbed just to hear the difference, because that's what I usually do when some animes that I'm just like, what is this, something that like I want to fully get into. And yeah, man, the English version is not it for this one, man. I don't know what they did, but like the most intense moments, I would switch back and forth. and I'm like, excuse me, there's no emotion at all in that. But loved it. And before Alan gives his review on it too, sorry, I'm gonna apologize now because it's fresh in my mind, and I binged it in 2 days, and then on my second day after I finished it, went and watched the movie. This is the first movie I saw in theaters. Since Birds of Prey. Birds of Prey was the last movie I saw in theaters.
Oh wow.
Yeah, bro, and it was a long time. So this one brought me back, and I loved it, every minute of it. So I apologize if I butcher some of the names. All right, so go ahead.
You're good, man. So like for me, this movie. So also, if you haven't watched the anime, you do need to watch the anime for this movie because this is not like most anime movies where they kind of just like go to like a different story or a different realm. This is legit the continuation and the bridge from season 1 to 2. This actually, if the end of season 1 is the beginning of this movie. So we're not going to talk about season 1 as like in general. We're going to talk about the movie, but a lot of the references still happen anyway. So the movie is fantastic, first of all. So basically, they go onto this train where they have to go onto a mission, and that's pretty much what Demon Slayer is. These guys are Demon Slayers. They have to go do these missions. And they go on this train for this mission, and you have Tanjiro, you have Zetsu, and you have Inosuke, who go onto this because they're like the new band of brothers, which is also great. Like that whole their whole relationship is so great. Good. You know what I mean? So, and then you have Rengo, who is one of the higher up Demon Slayers. I always forget what the name is of the higher rank Demon Slayer, but he's like the fire one, and he's basically these like the super high ranks.
It's like
so
Hyra?
They get
Hyra?
Yeah, it's like high. I always butcher that name, so I'm not even gonna try. But you go watch this. I mean, the movie starts off pretty much with they're just pretty much funny anime.
Yeah, it's the intro for the song. Yeah.
They give us funny anime moments, with Rengo. He basically is, eating like his ramen, and he's just like, more like delicious.
And everybody's just staring at him like, what the hell is wrong with this guy?
So this movie, though, basically, it just gives you makes you go through all the emotions. I mean, they go fight one of the lower numbers, which is one of Tanjiro's missions. He's trying to get blood from them so that he can bring back his sister. So basically, they don't know that they just know people are disappearing on this train.
Yeah.
So they basically go, and I mean, from beginning to end, this movie had me hooked. When Tanjiro gets sent back to his family and he doesn't realize he's in the fake world, like until later on, because he's like, what's going on here? Like, I don't understand what's going on. Inosuke is there and he's got his own funny little world where he's
so
like
weird. I thought we were going to get backstory from him, and I was like, they are not giving us anything.
Inosuke is one of those special characters.
He's my favorite. He's legitimately my favorite in the show. I love
hilarious.
He's one of those guys that's just like, you follow the main character. The main character is always like cool and generous and kind, and he's like the hero. And Inosuke wants to be that person, so he's just like, you know what? Anything this guy can do, I can do it 10 times better. And he always goes up to prove it. But he's so competitive
because he can do that he feels that way for everyone, right? So it's not just like, as soon as he sees someone do something epic, he's like, no way that I can't do it. And then he actually is able to do it, which is crazy. So it's one of those he's one of those fun characters. And then you have Zetsu, who's just, okay, listen, because I had somebody at work, shout out to Sadie. We talked about it, and they were like, what do you think of him? I was like, he was funny at first, but like after a while, like, bro, come on. Like, he gets a little annoying at times.
He does. Like I always think like whenever he's on screen and he's crying or whining about something, I'm like, you can cut like at least like 2-3 seconds from it and I'll be okay, because it always just goes just a little bit too just far. The tiniest bit too long to where I'm like, all right, dude, I get it. All right, let's go.
Like with his infatuation with Nezuko, which is Tanjiro's sister, who is a demon. But like I said, if you guys haven't watched it, you shouldn't
even be listening to this. Bye.
Listening to this. So,
if you got to this point, sorry.
Anyway, so. But when he actually starts to fight, he's like one of the coolest ones, because that like the way that the electricity looks anytime he slashes his sword is like, you're like, oh snap.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you know, and the fact that he only knows one move, like one technique, like is so cool because he has like different tiers in that one technique. But it he's such a cool fighting character too. I mean, all of them are pretty awesome. I mean, even for Inosuke pretty much making his own style. Like he has nobody has the style that Inosuke has. Like, you know what I mean? I
And
know
if
like
I mean, if you guys, I mean, I know you guys keep hearing about because Demon Slayer is very popular. Anime has gotten really popular just because of it's always been popular, but it's gotten even more popular because of TikTok and all this other stuff. So you got a
it's
little
more mainstream now.
yeah, it's more mainstream. So you see a lot of these kids going in and stuff like that, and I feel like it's turning off some of the older generation from this show. Go watch, like I said, we said, go watch the show, because one of the things that drew me in was how they animated stuff. The animation in this movie is fantastic. My favorite scene,
top tier.
yeah, my favorite scene is when Zenitsu is in the train and it zooms out. You see the train going and it like pans in, and he does his move. Good. And you see the lightning go straight through the train. I'm like, holy crap! The favorite movie in the scene.
Yeah, I mean, even
favorite scene in the movie.
Even the scene when they're so basically they're going to go fight the lower demon one, and because he's the one who's the puppeteer pretty much, and he's doing all these things that causes them to sleep, and they're trying to kill him in their sleep so that he can kill them easier and devour them so he can get some more power, whatever. But he actually infuses with the train, right? And and I mean, this scene also just gave me goosebumps when Tanjiro realizes that he has to get out of the world that he is in. Like he literally has to cut his own head off in order to get there. And the fight that they're doing on top of the train, when he's pretty much doing it at like light speed and still fighting him, bro, I was losing my mind. Like I'm so excited right now about it because thinking about how epic that was, like he would lose his train, like he would get put in the world, come back out and continue the fight the whole time. It was,
and the fact
it
that
was just
it was
wonderful.
Like whenever it cuts back and it's just like, you know, that demon's just like, didn't I give you sweet dreams? Like, don't you want to go back to your family and all this other stuff? Like you'll live peacefully in your sleep. Whenever he starts cutting his throat and stuff, then the guy starts implementing nightmares, and then it cuts to his nightmares, and then you see his like little brother is like, why'd you leave us? Like, this is your fault. His mom comes and she's like, we should have never, like, you know, you were useless to us, all this other stuff. And I was like, holy crap. And it's just him killing himself over and over again just to wake up out of the dream so he can keep fighting.
It's so crazy.
Oh.
And then him and then Inosuke and him are both, because then the lower one actually infuses with the train and is actually part of the whole train itself. And you're like, oh, snap, right? So then when him and Inosuke are fighting and they're just in the air doing all this crazy stuff, and like the train is doing all this crazy stuff, and Inosuke actually saves Tanjiro because remember, he was going to cut himself in real life, and he's like, he can't make me go to sleep because he can't tell where Inosuke's eyes is because of the boar mask. So, but when they did that whole setup in order to cut the neck from the train, okay, guys, like the train had a neck, and they found the neck because of Inosuke's ability, where he does the thing where he can find everyone. He literally finds the neck, and like it's them falling down from the sky, like doing these techniques. And then Tanjiro does the flame technique, which, you know, makes him immobile, which is a big part, because we find out later that we think the movie is over, but this is where the tears, the crying, and all of this stuff starts.
Which is amazing, because at first, like in the beginning part of it, whenever you meet what's the flame guy's name?
Rengoku.
Yeah. So whenever you meet him, right? Like you don't get a lot on him, right? You like you. I feel like if they, I mean, I was sitting in the movie and I was just like, okay, this is a happy ending. Like somebody's gonna go. Like
you do get a good sense of his character, because he throughout the whole time this fight is going on, there are passengers on the ship. I mean, on the train, and you do see him trying to save people. He also like has this very cool like persona about him where he knows he's really confident and he doesn't feel cocky, right? So like I feel like it's and even the other characters get that sense from him, to where he doesn't feel too like he is a super confident dude, but he also has this thing about him that you're kind of like, oh, this is a nice guy, even though he's super confident in his ability. And then they also want to, and one of the things is he wants to, you know, Tanjiro actually wanted him to train him because he has this fire technique, and Tanjiro, who is usually water based, besides that one technique that he knows from his dad, has all water. So like Tanjiro is also getting to this point where he's starting to use multiple abilities, which is pretty awesome. And he wanted, Rengo to teach him these techniques. So basically he does this technique, then he saves, pretty much the train, and then they all fall out of the train. And then we think the movie is over, and then an upper 3 demon shows up. I forgot. I think it's Akaza is his name.
It was so
starts
quick
with a name.
because at one point I did have a problem with the movie. The more I thought about it, I was just like, okay, there was like no indication that this guy was gonna show up at all. Like,
which is fine.
Yeah, which was cool. Which was really cool. But also the movie does a great job of, because I was saying, getting you. The movie was like what, 2? It was about 2 hours, right?
It was 2 hours.
Yeah,
1
it was 2
hour
hours.
and 57 minutes. Yeah.
It does a great job of making that like getting the viewer to connect with Rongu or whatever. Yeah. So getting a connection with him for you to actually care for him, because throughout the movie you see his dreams and his flashbacks and to get to where he is now. So that's what made that scene so intense. But as soon as he showed up, and the guy's like, I want you to become a demon. Like, you're strong enough to become a demon, and all this other stuff. And I was like, it clicked, and I was like, no, bro, don't tell me it's it.
So the thing is, I kind of had this spoiled because I do read the manga of this, and even knowing what was about to happen, the movie still did such a great job at showing you how emotional that scene was. Because remember, Tanjiro can't even move right now, right? So like, and he wants to fight these demons also, but he can't help, right? And it's a problem for him because if you know Tanjiro's character, he always wants to help or always feels like he needs to do something.
And he pushes himself all the way to the limit, gets hurt, and then whenever the big beef, like basically the next level starts, he's out. He's out for the count, and he has to watch his friends.
The best thing about Demon Slayer is that they don't have the main character is not what I call overpowered, pretty much, because there's some animes where he's going to be be able to do it. Like, I know Tanjiro is going to get to a point where he's really strong, and I hope that's the end of the anime. But again, right now where he's at, he still can't fight these upper demons. Like, you know what I mean? He even the lower demon, he had an issue with, like, you know what I mean? It took him doing a move that made him completely immobilized in order to fight him. And that's his second one that he's fought. So being that he has to do these things, and it actually gives the character growth, which is what I like a lot, but you do have Rengu who's fighting this dude, and he is at about the same level as him. And if you needed any evidence that Rengu was a straight up G, the man has a move named after himself. Like, you can't even, like, when you do a technique, like, he has his own breathing technique that's named after him. And I don't care, like, you guys, he didn't win the battle. Yes, he did. He won the battle just because he has a move named after himself. No matter what happens, I don't care. If no one else has a name moved after himself, it doesn't matter to me because he does. And the fact that he pulls that off, and he had so much determination to save the people on that train, and he ends up doing it. It costs him his life, which is why it gets very tear-jerky, and you feel you feel those emotions. You feel those emotions,
man, because it goes intense where he's like, he knows he's going to die, but he has to. He's trying to hold on to that demon for the sun to come up. So there's that whole moment of just like the demon's like moving around, let me go, and he's like, no, you're coming with me, basically, and you're just like, oh, like, are they gonna make it? It's
so intense.
Yeah. And unfortunately, the demon does get away. And
Tanjiro chases him. Basically Tanjiro chases him to the woods and throws his sword, which he lost another sword, which is going to be a problem because the sword he's going to beat him up because last time he lost a sword.
He said, you broke my sword.
He almost got stabbed. He literally almost died. So this is going to be interesting, but it was a very somber moment. And then it from the epic battle, which that was, you get to this very somber, like, calming moment where them two, he's just like, hey, Tanjiro, come here. Let's talk for one more time. And you know this is going to happen. And then he just basically gets into this deep conversation with him. And it's basically like, you can do this. We saved everybody here. Like, I'm going to be gone, but I'm still going to be here kind of thing.
And he's like,
and
go tell my family, go tell my brother, go tell
my, he's like, if you need help with your fire ability, go talk to my brother and my father. And then the scene that literally broke me is then his mom shows up, and then he goes, Mom, did I make you proud? And she says yes. And then at that point, I don't care what anyone says. If you weren't crying, you're a monster.
Yeah.
Because I was in that movie theater crying like a baby. I was like, damn, that one hurt. Like that. But it does end in a peaceful moment because he kind of knew, like, his whole goal was to protect 200 people on that train, and he did. And even when they cut back to the Grandmaster, and he's like, well, he did save 200 people, like that was his goal, like, you know what I mean?
That's the job. That was the job.
You know what I mean?
It's to stop demons from killing people. Not generally like them killing all the demons. It's just like when you get the chance, you need to protect these people.
And then and he did that. And then even when and it's such a somber moment because even the crow that they have,
I was about to say,
cries,
cries when he flies off.
And then
he's like, damn.
They're telling all the other higher ranked demon slayers that he died, and it kind of put things in perspective on how strong they need to be, because like he didn't even kill him and he literally used everything he had. So it's going to be great to see in season 2 how they train up to like try to fight these dudes and how more careful these fights are going to be now, because like, it is life or death with every situation. And I feel like doing this death also makes you feel like, hey, everyone's not safe in this. Like, you know what I mean? It might feel like people are safe. People might die, but you don't know who's going to die. And that's one of the best things I take from animes are that. And with this movie, like I said, it had real consequences. It's literally going to affect season 2, which is why I feel personally it's the best anime movie, because it's literally part of the story. It's canon and it feels canon. And like I said, it has major implications on what season 2.
Yeah, and basically the beginning of season 2, or basically the whole season of season 2, is going to be Tanjiro's, like, it's going to be a revenge story. That demon getting away, as soon as he got away, he's like, I gotta get out of here. And I was like, he's screwed, because in season 2, Tanjiro's about to go ham and is going to do whatever he can to get another fight with that demon.
And I know what happens, so we'll see if they follow it directly. But if you guys want to know what happens next, just go read the manga, but still watch the animation, because I do both. I just sometimes there's some stories I just need to know what happens next, and that is one of those stories where I just need to happen. It's the same thing with Attack on Titan, so I just need to know what happens next.
Yeah.
But it was amazing. Definitely 10 out of 10. No, there's just no other way of putting it.
I give it an 8 turned sideways. 10, man. That movie was fantastic. I'm glad that was my first movie back.
Yeah, it's awesome. So that's gonna be the end for us, guys. I hope you guys talk. I know Chris and I both enjoyed it because it just feels like us just talking about movies, something we both enjoy a lot. So we might be doing more of these, especially as the movie theaters are opening back up and movies are coming back. I know if you guys haven't watched that Marvel We're Back to the Theaters trailer, which is amazing. I stopped watching it because once it hit Black Widow, I didn't want to see part of the Black Widow trailer. If you guys don't know me, that's what I do. I don't watch trailers to movies I know I'm going to go watch. But we do plan on doing more things like this. If you guys like it, we definitely we're going to put this on the podcast also. We're still doing the mouse giveaway, by the way. Once we hit 50 on Twitch, I think we're 2 at the recording on this video, we're like 2 away. So we're hoping we can give that away on Tuesday on the live show. Yendi will give you guys some more details on that. So besides that, guys, I think that's it. Chris, thanks for joining me on this video.
Yeah, man.
And we'll hope to do it again in the future. Fire Team out.